Hey everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network here, another edition of Off the Top Rope. So listen, I've been noticing a major disconnect between the internet wrestling, AEW sickos, and actual reality. Because there seems to be this contingent of people that are just trying to shit on WWE on its biggest week and finding any little flawed detail in just a small quote or something, or pick a quote out and just be like, oh, this is bad, AEW is just better. And listen, let me give you guys an example. So Tiffany Stratton was quoted in saying, hey, what would a loss to Charlotte Flair mean for your career? And she was like, yeah, you know what? Hey, if I lose, it's I don't want to accomplish everything too quickly in my career. It would be a good experience to humble me and whatnot, so on and so on. And I've seen a couple of people just, bark back at this, like, what? The whole point of wrestling is to lose. No, that's not the whole point of wrestling. The whole point of wrestling is to tell good stories. Like, guys, Cody Rhodes is probably going to lose on Sunday to John Cena. He's going to lose to John Cena, who is basically a part-time employee and at the end of his career. You want to know why that makes sense? Because John Cena is a full-time heel for the first time in 22 years. It's the 17th title run. And the chase, what do we always see? Like a lot of us, the chase is sometimes better than actually winning the championship. Okay. And in a lot of cases, we've seen the chase. Like, what do we remember about Kofi Mania 5-6 years ago? The chase was great. After that, they didn't know what the fuck to do. And some of this is booking and whatnot. But think about this. In AEW, Mercedes Moné showed up and on her first match won a championship. She is now a year in, is holding every major championship, and she is about as cold as she has ever been in her entire career. Don't convince yourself otherwise. AEW, Tony Khan, and the sickos and the internet and a lot of the internet wrestling marks live in an alternative reality of like, hey, it's all about wins and losses. Listen, like, guys, there is an element of sport and there is an element of athleticism to this, but it is all in the name of telling good stories and creating compelling and captivating, matches in television. Now, some people will come at me and basically say, well, Mike, you shat all over Athena and her, or not all over Athena, you shat all over Mercedes in her, handing Athena the loss. Yeah, because I didn't like the way that like I would be all about it if it was going to lead to another story and lead to something between them. But based off of what I saw in the post match, where immediately Athena was tossed aside and they immediately go pan to Toni Storm in the crowd, that tells me, hey, this was all just a match to get Mercedes another win and set up what we're inevitably going towards, which is, Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné for everything. All the marbles in the women's division at all in. I would assume it's going to be at least for the world championship, but I would expect, maybe we put all the championships on the line. But the point is, what I've gotten driven crazy about this week, and it just seems like AEW sickos, marks, and everybody, like, they'll nitpick something out of a Roman Reigns quote and say, hey, Roman's now a Trump supporter. Guys, Roman's been the most over guy in the company. And just because, hey, it's WrestleMania week and, you're nitpicking, he didn't say he was a Trump supporter. And then, I talked about this earlier in the week on the channel. Like, everybody's talking about, oh, yeah, Spring Breakthrough is already going to be a better show than WrestleMania because the WrestleMania build has sucked in these matches. Like, do you guys hear yourselves talk? And then, everybody's like, oh, haha, they only sold 50,000 tickets when, it's one of the smaller, venues, and it's a newer venue in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. When in reality, hey, they're going to have 100,000 people. I saw the kickoff show earlier on Friday in Las Vegas. The crowd was energized. They were alive. They were yelling. They were doing a bunch of crazy stuff. They were cheering for everything. They were hooting and hollering. And based off everything I heard this week, wait a minute. I thought WWE was a bad thing. I thought WWE was in the shithole. No, they're as white hot as they've ever been. Yes, prices are a little bit too high, but this is what happens when economics work your way. Like again, AEW fans, sickos, and the internet wrestling community live in this alternative reality that just does not exist. WWE is doing fine. They're doing fine. WrestleMania is going to be great this weekend. Has it felt like a little bit of a letdown considering what last year was? Sure. But come on. Is anything going to ever live up to that last year and that ending and Cody finishing his story? That's one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. WrestleMania 40 is going to be remembered for a long time. And a lot of people talk about 17 and 19 and 30 as some of the best ones, maybe 31. But 40 is going to have a special place in a lot of people's hearts, considering the story that was finished, how we got there, the compelling television that we got going into that. Again, this is not about wins and losses. This is about creating compelling and captivating television and great stories. And that's what Triple H has done. Just because, you're an AEW fan and you don't like that, and your company is all in the name of doing good matches that are admittedly good, but have no hook to them and no emotion attached to them. That's what makes wrestling special. It's not about the wins and the losses. It's about when those wins matter. And, hey, if a loss happens for like a Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania, how is she going to chase? How is she going to recover from that? That's why we watch this stuff. That's why it's sports entertainment. And I don't understand why it is so hard for internet marks, AEW Sickos, Tony Khan, all these other people. The wrestling can be great, but if you don't have good stories to supplement that, nobody's going to give a shit. That's why AEW's ratings are bad. I understand that it's a niche product, but the other problem that I have about this is like, hey, all these AEW marks are like, oh yeah, we're not trying to be like WWE. Well, fuck. Look at your company, man. You got an ex-WWE guy, third guy in the Shield is your world champion. Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks is your TBS champion. Toni Storm, I'll admit she has actually built herself up. Toni Storm is your women's world champion. And, it's just like your top group. It's like your TNT champion is Adam Cole, NXT champion, and you're literally running the Undisputed Era. What are we doing, man? What are we doing? They're not building new stars. They're just hashing stuff from WWE. They got Adam Copeland and Christian are going to reunite. Admittedly, it'll be cool, but it's like, don't tell me that you're all about all about we're the best wrestler and you're all about not being WWE. You're WWE knockoff. You just do things a little bit differently, and it's not working for you. Please, I beg of you, Tony Khan, AEW, the Sickos, the IWC, please stay in reality. I do not understand this. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.